Ah! The gods are angry! We're all doomed!
Come on, did you even watch my video? I said that tar would lump together, and it would either float on top of the water or it would fall to the bottom. That it is so unlikely for a single tar molecule to enter the bilayer.
What I found funny about this is the chance that the tars will run into each other and bond together is kind of like the nucleotides bonding together before they get in the microsphere, which is kind of like, well, if they bond together and form chains before they get in the microsphere, then they won't get into the microsphere because they'll be too big. And then you run into that problem. So I don't think you want to go that route. And then it's just kind of funny, right?
Okay, let's do it one more time. You have tar, which is hydrophobic. You drop it in water, two tar molecules will instantly bond together. If you have a nucleotide that's hydrophilic, drop it in water and they are soluble. They have to get close together to bond. You can try this with a glass of water at home. First you fill it up with water, then you drop tar. It will lump together. Then take another glass of water and drop something hydrophilic. How about some sugar and see what happens? I will tell you, it dissolves. It's hydrophilic. Okay? Gee, man. You didn't read that chapter about hydrophilic that I suggested, did you now? You need to refresh your high school chemistry. Okay, about this article. These sugars are the building blocks of our nucleotides. Therefore, there must be a natural process for synthesizing pure 100% D sugars that can combine with a phosphate group and a base in nature. This article suggests a natural process for creating pure 100% D sugars, which could be used as the building blocks for our nucleotides. You can't read this article because it costs money. Aren't you a university student? I am guessing that your university has a library. In that library you find a computer, and that computer should be able to access any scientific journal in the world since universities usually subscribe to them. That is, your university pays the bill. You might even be able to access the library computer from your home. If that doesn't work, maybe you go to a cheap-ass college. Then you could try to find a medical library on campus where you might find the actual article printed in hard copy. Still not able, go to the biology department and find a biology PhD student. He surely can access this article for you as the biology department most likely subscribe to every scientific journal in this field. And most definitely this scientific journal. If everything else fails, you can mail the authors of the article. Say that you're a poor university student and that you really would like to read their article, but you can't afford it. I will guarantee you that they will mail it to you, but then your email address might end up in the wrong hands. Regardless, you don't need to read the article. All you need to know is that there is a naturalistic process to create D sugars, and that this pool of D sugars could be responsible for the chirality of nucleotides, and therefore there is no chirality problem in abiogenesis. You don't understand what a scientific theory is. A scientific theory only needs to be falsifiable. Wrong. One criteria a scientific theory must hold is that it is falsifiable. But a scientific theory is a theory that explains scientific observations, how something happens, the mechanisms and the observable facts, as well as an explanation of specific natural phenomena, and usually include empirical experiments and laws. The only explanation intelligent design gives us, God did it. That is not an explanation for anything. If intelligent design was a scientific theory, then it would explain how God did it. So you see, a falsifiable theory is not by default a scientific one. Otherwise, according to you, a scientific theory will be that insomnia is caused by alien abduction and anal probing by aliens from the 16th planet orbiting Alpha Centauri. In theory, this could be shown false by constructing a man-made probe and send it to Alpha Centauri, and when it fails to find a 16th planet or any aliens in the Alpha Centauri system, the theory will crumble. We would have to wait some 20,000 years for this result, but the theory is falsifiable. But we don't need to use anything as far-fetched as that. According to you, the theory that New York Rangers can't lose a game with 40-0 is a scientific theory. It has never happened, and if it did, it would show the theory to be false. But there's certainly nothing scientific about it. A chemist is a scientist. A biologist is a scientist. A physicist is a scientist. A mathematician is a mathematician. A statistician is a different kind of mathematician. A philosopher is a philosopher. Now some people might agree with you that math is a science. I am one of those that will disagree on you on that topic. Math is a tool used in science. Mathematicians do calculations. They don't perform scientific experiments. Philosophy is not a science. Science used to be a philosophy, but nowadays it is a branch of itself. You're supposed to be a philosopher. Do you consider yourself a scientist? If you did that, that would be hilarious. Could you name the last winners of the Nobel Prize in Math and Philosophy? I forgot who won last year. If you can't tell the difference between philosophy and science, then there is really no wonder that you can't tell the difference between reality and fantasy.